Hey everybody, today I have a 2016 X3 XDrive 28i, which is the 2-liter turbocharged engine, and this vehicle needs a radiator. So we're going to start doing the radiator. So first thing we're going to do is we already have the shield off the bottom of it. We already have the shield off the bottom, and there is no drain on this radiator. So we are going to go ahead and disconnect the lower hose right there. We're going to pull the clip up and then pull the hose off and start draining the radiator. Then after we get that drained, we're going to disconnect this electrical connection here. We're going to take the air box out, because we need this extra room to get the radiator out. So we're going to take the air box out. The air box is held in. We're going to take the clamp off here and the clamp off down there. And then there's a 10mm headed bolt here. And this should just pop out. And then we're going to take this plastic line out. Now be very careful. Plastic does not belong in cars, but they do it anyway. We're going to disconnect this line so we don't break it. Be very careful disconnecting these lines. So what we're going to do is you lift up on the little metal tab, and then this will slide off. We're going to slide it off of both of these so we don't break anything. Then after we do that, we're going to take this bracketry out. It's a T40 and a T30. There's T40s here, T30s in here, and there's bolts also in here to give us some extra room. So let me get the air cleaner out of it and the lower hose off it, draining the coolant, and we will come back. Okay, I'm going to try to show you how to get the lower hose off. So here's the lower hose. I have a hook tool, and we are going to hook this metal piece and pull up on it. Now usually you can leave them on there. I just like to go ahead and take the metal piece all the way off so I know that it's not going to be in the way. So there's the metal piece. Put this aside, but you're going to reuse it. And now I'm going to try to wiggle this hose up and down. Let's see if I can get it to come off without breaking it. Sometimes when that doesn't work, you'll have to come in with a screwdriver and pry at the top while you lift up on the bottom to try to get it to loosen up. I hate doing this. It always feels like you're going to break something. Oh, there it goes. Now it's moving. It started to move, and then there we go, draining all the coolant out. We have a catch pan underneath catching all the coolant. Okay, so while we're here and I got the camera on, you need to disconnect this electrical connection, which should just be squeeze and unplug. But I think I'm going to need both hands to get that squeezed and unplugged. But while I have the camera on still, same thing here. We're going to pry up on the little plastic, not the plastic, excuse me. We're going to pry up on the metal tang there, and we're going to pry out on the metal tang there. But I'm going to take this out of here so I don't destroy it. Okay, this one's coming. Well, it was coming. I'm going to need both hands. I'm going to take a screwdriver and help pry this out. I heard my hook tool hit the ground. So let me get this line off. Let me get the electrical connection disconnected, and we'll come back. Okay, I went ahead and took the fresh air hose out. Well, actually, it's the air inlet hose from the air box to the engine. Clamp here, clamp here. There's the hose. It's out. I've taken the 10mm headed bolt here, and I've disconnected the mass airflow sensor, and then this hose that ran over here I also took out of the way. So now this should just lift up out of the way. So there's the air box. So Next thing I'm going to do is see if I can get the light sitting in here. We're going to go ahead and disconnect this upper hose, and there's also another hose down here. Well, that runs back here, so we can just put this out of the way, maybe get a bungee and get that out of the way, and then we'll worry about the oil cooler lines after we get this taken apart. So let me get this taken apart and we'll come back. I still haven't pulled this off yet. We'll see if we really need to pull that piece off or not. I'm not sure, but it will give me a little bit more room. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to pull this piece off. So also I'm gonna go ahead, and while we're gone, I'll go ahead and pull this piece off to give me that little extra room here. All right, so I got the upper radiator hose disconnected. I have it pushed back. I had to disconnect this clamp here to let this heater hose go back. I just have it bungeed out of the way. So now we have to worry about the oil cooler, which is down here. There is a T25 screw here, and we need to disconnect this one cooling line. The other ones are oil lines, but this one here, if we disconnect this, that's all we'll have to disconnect on the oil cooler. I can't do it with one hand, but I'll go ahead and I'll get this. No, I'm gonna have to wait. I gotta get this pried off, take this screw out, and then this thing, I do believe, lifts up and will get out of my way far enough. So you gotta be careful of these lines. And then we'll get the fan out, which is going to be this bolt on this side, which is the same size. So let me get that cooler line off and up and out, and I'll come back and show you taking the fan shroud out. All right, so to get the oil cooler out, you take the cooling line off, you take the 125 T25 torque headed screw here out, and then there is a tang that fits in here. So then you have to push the cooler back and then down, and then you can fish it around this AC line to get it out of the way. Then you come over here and you take out the other T15 there. Now to get the fan shroud out, you have to push on this tang to release the fan shroud. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. Let me see. Can you all see? Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to come in here with a pick tool and push on that tang and lift up on the fan shroud. And the fan shroud will lift right out. All right, fan shroud's out. And I do believe we have almost everything disconnected that we need to disconnect. So we're going to take this line off after we get the radiator out. So now the next thing we have to do is we have to unbolt the radiator. There is another T25 screw here and another one in here. Let's try not to drop anything. Oh, that's a mistake I just did. I'm going to put a rag in there so nothing can fall in the inlet of the turbo. There, I'll get another rag in a second. We got another T25 headed screw here. And now the radiator just flips forward, and it should just lift right on out. So there is the radiator, and I'm leaking, cooling all over the place. All right, so now we'll just go ahead and transfer this over to the new radiator. When the new radiator gets here, we'll get in here, and I know there's probably, oh, there isn't. There's a couple leaves. We'll get those couple leaves out. Alrighty, so there we go. There is the radiator out. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the radiator all back in, and I'll show you how to bleed the cooling system on this one. All right, we'll be back. Alrighty, real quick, I wanted to show you all this. So as you see, I got a brand new BMW radiator. Now the radiator down here, it has a tongue, and the tongue slides into this piece of plastic here on both sides. It's kind of hard to see. Let me show you on the old radiator. The radiator has a tongue right here that slides in to that plastic piece that looks like a fan shroud. So once you get that lined up, then the radiator will slide back. Of course I need both hands, but I wanted to show that to you. Yeah, the radiator's got to slide into those tongues, and then also right here there's another tongue that's got to go into the radiator. So that should be it. I'm gonna put the camera down and double check that I have it in there right, but I wanted to show you that real quick. Alrighty, I got the BMW all back together. All the hose connections are on, the radiator's in, the fan shroud's in, the fresh air. I'm gonna have to do a good cleaning on this. It's very dirty, and then where I spilt stuff, looks terrible. So I'll clean it all up. So a lot of people use the vacuum sucker, but on this one here, not all the coolant came out of the block. So what we're going to do on this one to get it refilled is there's a bleed right here. We're going to unscrew this bleed and then fill this up all the way until coolant comes out of here. And then I do believe I'm going to get my scanner out, since this has a electric water pump. And we will use the scanner. Yes, it has the electric water pump down here. I will use the scanner to take and do the bleed on this. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it up, hook the scanner up, and do what the scanner says to bleed it, and this one should be ready. I'll clean this all up and I'll come back when it's all done. Alrighty, I filled that up with coolant as far as I would go and had this open until coolant flowed out. So now I put the jumper pack on. I follow the instructions on the Alltel. The Alltel now is bleeding. You can see that the pump is running at 170 RPM. And if you come over here, you can see the coolant is squirting out, bleeding the cooling system. So you see a little air coming out there. All right, so this takes about 12 minutes. And after that's done, the car's done. I started wiping it down. I'm probably got to put the underneath the hood, underneath the car shield back on. And we'll probably get some water and spray this area down with the hose. Started cleaning it up also with a little, awesome clean to make it look a little bit better for the customer. So, all right, so I'm bleeding the cooling system. Takes about 12 minutes. After that, we'll be done. And I'll just clean it up and take it for a road test, make sure everything's okay. All righty, everybody. I'm going to leave it at this. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. You can always do that in that corner there. Please give me a thumbs up if you like my automotive videos.